What's the matter, David?
I'm taking a shortcut before.
Hey Daniel, how's it going, man?
Not too bad. Yeah. All right.
Well, for those of you who don't know, this is the first episode of the GBDENG movie podcast. Of course, like I said before, my name is Aiden. I run the movie review page on Instagram, GBD Reviews, and you are?
So I'm Daniel. I run the YouTube channel Reviewing, and I watch too many movies, so I had to talk about them with somebody else.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. It's driving my family nuts. I won't shove out of it, especially my little brother.
Yeah.
So this is a good way to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So let's get right into it then.
Yeah.
What are we going to be talking about today?
All right, so the movie that we're going to be talking about today is the recently released 2020 movie Mank, directed by David Fincher and written by his father, Jack Fincher.
Yeah. I think it was kind of a bit of almost like a passion project because Jack Fincher is, of course, David Fincher's father, and he could not get the film out before he unfortunately passed away. So it is kind of like David Fincher continuing on his father's legacy in the movie business.
Yeah. But before we get into that, I have a question. I have a quick trivia question for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Who was the writer of the 1992 Rob Reiner movie A Few Good Men?
Ooh, that's Aaron Sorkin. That's his first movie.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, that is correct.
Solid.
Very
Okay,
good.
now I got one for you.
Yeah.
You probably know this because it lives in movie infamy. So, who won the 2005 Best Picture Award at the Academy Awards?
Oh wait, okay. No, to be honest, I was thinking about this. Like you put up the question quickly, and I was thinking about it. I just remembered it's Crash, right?
Yeah,
It is Crash.
Yeah, that obviously generated a lot of controversy because it ended up winning over the heavily favored Brokeback Mountain, and a lot of people were not happy about. Or a lot of people were not happy about that. So
in retrospect, most people do not like that choice. Yeah. No, I personally, when the motion that I resonated me most when I watched Crash was comedy. To be honest, when I first watched it, I might be doing a video on that as well.
Yeah, well, if you are, let me know. I would be definitely interested to see that because it's overly melodramatic and too superficial to honestly win any major awards. It can be nominated, but to win is just it's not worth it, man. Yeah. Now we have some movies news, isn't that correct?
That is correct. So, and I just wanted your thoughts on. So, Warner Brothers has announced that for their 2021 release calendar, which includes movies like Dune, Judas and the Black Messiah, and In the Heights, that they will be doing a hybrid release method using HBO Max, which is currently only in America, and through theaters on the same day. So, the way it'll work is that it will run in theaters as long as it's able to, but it will only be on HBO Max for 1 month. I think the way that theaters will try to will hopefully get some compensation from studios, as in they'll be taking less of a cut from the movie since they'll be getting money through the streaming service. I just wanted, what do you think of that, Ian?
Honestly, I think that's a good way to handle it. I think it's the only way you can really handle it. Because if you're not releasing a movie for as long and the studio is going to still take the same amount of cut that they normally do, then these chains are not going to survive. And a lot of these chains have been around for ages, like the Cineplex chain. There's one near my mom's house on the Queensway in Toronto, and then they're all over the place. I can't imagine a world without Cineplex. It's where I always go to watch movies. So I think it's a responsible thing to do, to be honest. But I think you mentioned this. We were talking about this, in a cut of this that we messed up, and you were saying that HBO Max is not in Canada.
It is not
yet.
Yeah, it's not in Canada yet.
Yeah, which is kind of disappointing because for those of you who don't want to go out and risk getting the virus, then I think that would be another option. But we don't have it for some reason. So
yeah, they're gonna have to change that. I hope they change that. I hope they make HBO Max available to those who don't want to go to theaters, and hopefully theaters are open by the time most of the important movies I want to see. Personally, I'm most excited for Dune because that's directed by Denis Villeneuve, who we discussed to kind of be probably the greatest Canadian director And I think he is the best Canadian director of all time.
Yeah, he's surpassed James Cameron, probably because James Cameron has not released a movie since Avatar, of course. Yeah. So I mean, like,
he's planning to do Avatar for the rest of his life. He's got Avatar really 2 to 5 planned apparently.
Yeah. There is one thing I will say about those movies, although like they're kind of superficial, like the visual effects are still amazing, and the fact that for the sequel they had to invent new technology, I think that's pretty groundbreaking, and I got to give props for that. But
yeah, I feel like James Cameron is more like an inventor than a director in the way, because like all of his movies usually just have the goal of just like pushing movie technology, which is of course good, but I feel like that often leads to him not focusing on story as much.
Yeah,
especially with something like Avatar.
But I think the only exception recently I can remember, like, I did really like what's it called? Terminator 2. That had a really good story, and it also had good visual effects. But then you have something like True Lies, where the story is like it's okay, but it's the main goal is to just wow you with the visual effects. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. In other news, so Mads Mikkelsen has been officially announced as the replacement for Johnny Depp in the role of Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts movies. We discussed this earlier. We both haven't watched them too much, but we both like Harry Potter overall. I did watch the first one. I was just wondering, what do you think of this?
I mean, As replacements go, like I said this to you earlier, like Mads Mikkelsen, he's a fantastic actor, and I think this is as good a choice as you can given the circumstances. Having said that, though, and I know Johnny Depp was paid like the full amount.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
He was cut, but at the same time, like, given what we know, that it's not all on Johnny Depp, that he was not the sole perpetrator in what appears to be just a toxic relationship, I just don't think it was fair to shaft him, and then for Warner Bros. To not really do anything about Amber Heard.
Yeah.
But if they do decide to do anything, I heard some rumors that maybe, like, this may sound a bit weird, but then again, she has done good work in the past. Lady Gaga could potentially replace her in Aquaman 2, which I would honestly be fine with. What do you think about that?
Sorry,
I'm serious.
I know, but I feel that's just kind of fun. Like, I've heard rumors of people like Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones. I haven't heard Lady Gaga, because I think the only movie I know her from is Star is Born. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah. Well, she was fantastic in that, though. I do have to give her that.
I think she was probably potentially the best part of that movie, except maybe the cinematography. I definitely agree.
Yeah. Yeah, Emilia Clarke would be alright too. Like, she's also a really good actress, and of course, she is she is friends with Jason Momoa from back in the Game of Thrones days, right? So it'd be kind of cool to see those two on screen together again. Yeah. All right.
The other piece of news we have is that so there's Elliot Page, right?
Yeah. That was pretty big, to be honest. I think, for him to come out like that, even though, like, given what when he was a she in the past, when she identified as a lesbian, she got outed by a director, Brett Ratner, and she kind of had to preemptively come out when she wasn't ready. And I think now that he's able to come out on his own terms is, it's big for him, and I applaud him for that, to be honest. So, yeah.
Yeah, I personally believe he's a very underrated actor. Back when he was a she did a lot of great work on things like Inception. I think she was very good in Juno. I think she gave a very good performance in that. I think she's probably should have had a larger career than he's had up to this point. I hope as a male now he'll get some more roles that hopefully will be very good.
Yeah, no, I honestly hope so too. I do agree. He is a very underrated actor, and I hope that his career can go on the upward trend. As it's kind of like, aside from Umbrella Academy, which I know you love, I have not seen it, but aside from Umbrella Academy, he has not been a really big staple in the movie industry that he once was.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we're ready to move on to our main segment. So we're going to be talking about Mank, which is, as we said before, directed by David Fincher. And I wanted, Aiden, your quick thoughts on some of David Fincher's other movies.
Well, I mean, for me, his best movie is probably The Social Network. like he goes with writer Aaron Sorkin really well in that film. I think because it turns an otherwise boring story, which is the creation of Facebook. Like, who wants to see that?
Yeah.
But once you watch it, it just immediately brings you in. It's like every scene is enthralling. The dialogue is just a back and forth verbal assault on each character in the scene. I think it's just so brilliant. Like, yeah. I just, like, the first time I watched it, I was in careers class, and it blew me away to the point where I've now seen it about 4 times, and it just keeps on getting better every time I watch it.
Did they show it in careers class?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wish I would.
Yeah. Miss Jones was a cool teacher.
Yeah. We watched October Sky. That has.
I saw that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That had Jake Gyllenhaal and Laura Dern, I think. But I think Social Network is personally my second or third favorite movie of all time. It's between that and Whiplash. I don't know if you've seen Whiplash. That's a very good movie.
No, I really want to see that.
You need to see Whiplash then. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. My other, I like all of his movies personally. I think I've rated them all at least 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. My other personal favorites, I think Zodiac, is one that maybe people don't like as much, but I personally think it's a really good movie. I think it might be even potentially better than 7 on rewatch. I haven't seen 7 again, but I think 7's a very good movie, don't get me wrong, but I think Zodiac might be even better. I don't know what you think of
No, I agree. Zodiac is a brilliant movie. Just purely from a technical aspect, there are amazing other aspects of it, but from a technical aspect, it's shot lovely. It's like, and it also blends CGI and real life really well. I don't know if you know this, but that scene where the police are looking at the taxi cab murder victim was purely constructed out of CGI. All the background except for the taxi cab and the pavement are constructed out of CGI, and I think that's incredible because I didn't even know that until I was doing a bit of research on the film because it looks so real.
Yeah, for someone who is not really into blockbuster movies, David Fincher's actually done a lot of very good CGI work. He did some in Mank in this movie. I think the animals specifically were the type of things that he created through visual effects. But I think the most impressive and most well-known thing is when he duplicated Armie Hammer for the character of the Winklevosses. Right?
Yeah. No, that was really impressive. Yeah, because he wasn't very well known at the time, and people legitimately thought that he had a twin. It was insane.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were twins for the longest time. It took me a while to realize, it's just the same actor, just CGI'd.
Yeah. No, it was beautiful work, to be honest.
Yeah.
Honestly, beautiful. Yeah.
The films I still need to see from him are the ones I definitely need to see for sure are The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Yeah, I need to see those too. I think they're on my list on Netflix at the moment, so I should check those out in the meantime. Yeah. But anyways, into Mank, we probably should get into that because we have a lot to say about that.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start off with, so I think we discussed this a little bit before, but we talked about how we thought that the first act was probably the best. I think that's where the most witty dialogue comes in. I think makes the most references that you can actually understand, because a lot of the references this movie does make are a little bit hard to understand, and it struck a resemblance to me to a lot of Sorkin-esque dialogue, that kind of verbatim dialogue that I love in those movies kind of was happening in the first act, and I think I really like that part of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very witty. It has a great back and forth between each of the characters, and I think it very resembles an Aaron Sorkin screenplay.
Yeah, I think I think that was most prominent in the scene where in the beginning of the movie when he's visiting the movie set where Marion and William Hurst are. You remember that?
Yeah,
one?
It's. I thought that was really good as well. I also have. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I thought the scene where all the writers were just doing nothing and then created their story, just they were basically just doing created the story in front of the producers, off. Yeah, just from their heads. It was kind of
total ripoff of Frankenstein, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's not get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I also gotta say, like, the music, I thought it was pretty good. Like, for those of you who don't know, the score is done by frequent Fincher collaborators, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, those guys are both from the band Nine Inch Nails, and it's not one of their typical movie scores with a lot of synth, but this one is more of like a very traditional movie score. It has a lot of big band and jazz type beats in it, and I think it's very fitting for the time period that this film does take place in. So yeah.
I think this one, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross look to snag potentially 2 Oscar nominations for best score for this and for Soul. I personally think Soul has a little more potential because despite it being a very long score, which usually spells well for best score nomination, I felt like it wasn't too prominent in the movie.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, like it has a few moments where it is quite prominent, like you said earlier, those big themes. But I mean, like for the most part, it's kind of understated, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but may not be Oscar material. Yeah. So, yeah.
Other Oscar.
I also did.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you go first.
Other potential Oscar material here, I think, would be Gary Oldman, who I think gives a very good performance here.
Yeah, he's like probably going to be my top pick to win Best Actor. I don't even know who else would have a real shot, to be honest. I think like he's really been making kind of a comeback, like or at least recently, like because he had The Darkest Hour, right? Yeah. And that was kind of his big break after a while of doing like these like cookie cutter action flicks,
right?
And then he had a bit of a break between like that movie and this one. I think he's hopefully starting to get back into his like incredible form that we saw in other films such as of course The Dark Knight, and then you have like other films like Leon the Professional and Bram Stoker's Dracula. So yeah.
I personally think the top 2 contenders for Best Actor right now, I believe, are Chadwick Boseman and Anthony Hopkins, who are in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and The Father, respectively. Neither of which I've seen, so I definitely would say that Gary Oldman probably. I think I personally like the other performance I have seen that I think will also be a nomination that I personally like a little bit better is from Delroy Lindo. But yeah, no, definitely Gary Oldman is a very, very good. It shows that he's very talented here.
Yeah, he's like he's a chameleon. Like it's crazy how he can just immerse himself into a role. Like, and I was watching this like talk show segment. He said that because he's a method actor and because he immerses himself so into the role that he's becoming, and of course he does a lot of American roles, he actually had to relearn his English accent because he forgot how to do it for a while, which I thought was kind of interesting. Yeah. But yeah.
I think he gives a very honest picture of Herman Mankiewicz, both as in 3 ways. I think the story was trying to analyze him as a political critic, artist, and then a person, but showing how he's kind of broken in all 3 ways, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. He definitely has some problems, like of course his alcoholism, right? And his gambling problem as well. Yeah. So I mean, like he shows he's not a perfect guy, but he is trying to do the best he can, I guess. So yeah. All right, what else did you notice? I kind of felt like I noticed the costume design and set design. I thought they were really good. I think you had some thoughts about that earlier. What do you personally think about those aspects of the film?
Yeah, I thought the costumes were very good. I didn't think they weren't too showy at any point except maybe the last scene. As far as the production design was very good. I definitely believed it was a 1930s movie sets in Hollywood. The part I didn't believe as much is that it didn't really feel lived in. It felt like it was definitely built
too clean.
Yeah, right? In some ways it was a little bit too clean, but that's a minor complaint, frankly, because I think we need to talk about the cinematography. It's some beautiful black and white cinematography. I think it definitely is one of those films that you can clearly tell it was meant to be black and white, because like I don't know if you've seen this, but Bong Joon-ho in his Blu-ray release of Parasite released a black and white version. You can kind of see how a lot of color films, even though most people think if you immediately turn something black and white, it's immediately more artsy, you can kind of see how most color films aren't meant to be that way. But you can see just how much care black and white films put into the lighting and to ensure that it's presented just very well, and this film definitely did that.
No, I agree. It's like it's visually striking film, to be honest. Like you don't really see a lot of black and white films. I think it was kind of like an homage to the world that this movie is set in. Like it's a callback to the golden age of cinema in the late 1930s and the 40s and onward, right? So I think that was really good, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, and I even liked how they had like the scene transitions were also very old style.
Yeah.
You get like the typewriter typing up what's happening next, and occasionally you would even have those like typical black and white to like film splotches. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh
those
yeah,
in the area,
I
but it's
noticed those. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I remember those now.
Yeah, it feels very authentic, to be honest.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was immersed in that aspect.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I personally really liked the typing scenes. It felt meta, but also not too meta. Like to have actual writing of where the scenes are taking place.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think most people do believe, so I think what holds this movie back for a lot of people, and I think Aiden, this definitely holds it back for you too, is that if you haven't seen Citizen Kane or you don't know a lot about the 30s, there are a lot of things in the dialogue and story that are hard to keep up with. Right?
Yeah. And it can kind of make it seem like the movie's paced really well. And actually, I didn't really know this because, of course, I have not seen Citizen Kane. Like, I guess it's supposed to kind of mirror the elements of that movie. But if you haven't seen Citizen Kane, then the pacing is going to probably turn you off. It may make you lose interest in a lot of the scenes. And I think that's probably the main detraction of the film, to be honest. But
I think it was presenting some very interesting ideas, though. Despite some of the messy pacing, I think what it executes best, surprisingly enough, is the political commentary there. Because it's kind of showing how, even though Mank's kind of like more of a socialist, it showed how he and other people like that are kind of held under the more richer Republicans, who, being the richer people over the Democrats, are able to use their influence and power to influence the masses, and that's how they're able to win elections like that, right?
Yeah. No, it was kind of interesting how they did that, especially, in a time in history when that is kind of how the sitting president at the moment won his first election.
Yeah.
Now, that was kind of interesting. Whether that was done intentionally or not is yet to be seen. I think it can be interpreted in a number of ways, but yeah, it definitely shows parallels to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of showed his evolution of how he started to care more about his art, only because I think he kind of realized that of what he can create when he's focused, right? Because in almost every part of the movie and the story, we kind of see him always being drunk or
unfocused,
or at least drunk or unfocused, or just focused on something else. But when he's given the opportunity to write whatever he wants, and he's in a more stable environment, even though he does we clearly see that he fails, but he definitely shows just how much talent he had, because when he was able to focus, he created Citizen Kane, which most people consider to be the best movie of all time, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It was interesting how they did that. So, yeah.
So the final,
I also sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I touched on this the first time we recorded this. I was just saying that even though there are a few F-bombs in the film, I kind of didn't understand the R rating.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because most people our age aren't really gonna be checking out a film like this. I don't know what that really says about us, but
yeah.
And then or the MPAA, but I just don't understand why a film like this is rated R. I mean, the content wise, it's pretty tame. Like I said, there are a few F-bombs, but I kind of felt like that was a pretty dumb thing to happen. So
yeah, I think it's just how the MPAA rate works. I think this would definitely be a 14A movie in Canada.
Yeah, it's because our rating system is better.
Yeah, I think our rating system is better in a lot of ways, for sure. Something that I found funny was the last. So you know how it ends with kind of the Orson Welles interview, and them being not presented the Oscars because they didn't show up, but the last shot of him with the Oscar just kind of makes it seem and especially the text at the end, because that's something that happens all three movies. You know how text at the end is something that's very typical of true stories, and often comes with Oscar things
later on in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of it's come with all three frontrunners for Best Picture this year, So that being this movie, The Trial of Chicago 7, which has that one where it like freezes in a shot above the courtroom, and then it has, and then Nomadland even has one of those. So I just kind of found that kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess it really shows that there are some, like, incredible true stories out there that people can tell, you know? I mean, like, yeah. It's not bad, though. I mean, like, yeah. No, I'm fine with a good true story. But it was interesting that all three of the front runners have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one thing I noticed, it definitely has Fincher's signature style panning, which is kind of following characters as they're moving around, whether they're, like, going up some stairs or whatever they're doing. And I think that's very well done. It's very clean, as it is in almost every single movie that he does. But one thing I kind of found as a potential idea, because most people believe this movie might potentially be one of his weaker ones. And I just thought, do you think that he would have done this kind of movie if, like, do you think with just the script and it not being his father's script, do you think that David Fincher would have done a movie like this still?
I mean, like, that's definitely an interesting question. I honestly don't think so, to be honest, because if you look at his other filmography, he doesn't really do many period pieces. In fact, I don't even know if he hasn't done any other period pieces like this, to be honest. Like, it kind of feels... I don't want to say this like it's a bad thing, but, like, it's sort of a bit Oscar baity, to be honest, just because, like, it takes place in the golden era of cinema.
Right.
I mean, like, the Academy eats that stuff up, you know?
Yeah, this definitely feels like his most Oscar bait film, which I think kind of makes it I think it's part of the reason why it's part of his weakest, even though some people believe the weaker parts are that it's really hard to understand it, which could which might detach an Oscar audience, but it also could, because you'd have to assume most of the people who are in the Academy have seen Citizen Kane, right? Which is why I definitely don't think this is out for an award like Best Picture. You know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, and I guess that's kind of why it makes it Oscar bait, because, you know, if they've seen Citizen Kane, then they'll be able to appreciate this movie a little bit more, right? So I guess it's like Citizen Kane bait, but, like, Citizen Kane bait also kind of translates into Oscar bait, right? In some ways, even though Citizen Kane did only one original screenplay at the time. Yeah. No, it is interesting how that works, I guess. Yeah.
Oof. So I have one other question about the film that I thought. In the end, they kind of talk about how of who was kind of in charge of the Hearst-Mank relationship in kind of that last scene. Whether it was like Mank feeling that Hearst would be bored and uninspired with him around, or do you think that it kind of says that Mank would always feel obligated to be around him to, like, have an audience kind of thing? Oof. It was like kind of
that's a tough question, to be honest.
It was that, like, story of the organ grinder's monkey kind of idea, right?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly never really thought about that. I don't even know how to answer that, to be honest. I think maybe that guy gave him a little bit more structure in his life, because I think without him he wasn't really doing a whole lot. I don't know, but yeah, that is a tough question to ask. Like, what do you think about that, though? Like, because you clearly have an idea of what you want to say here. So what do you got?
I think personally that Hearst would be bored and uninspired without him, because I think the movie shows that there's a free-flowing nature to him, and he kind of does as he feels, which in a lot of ways is his strength. He says what he does, which keeps him creatively and mentally free in a lot of ways. But a lot of his mental freedom is being drawn towards frivolous things and damaging things like alcoholism and gambling, right?
Yeah. No. Okay, I see what you mean there. Yeah. Yeah, you know, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. That part of the movie sort of, like, I don't know, confused me just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I think
I'm glad that you were able to pick up on that, though, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have been able to understand it. But
in the second act, I felt they definitely ramped up the dialogue that I personally didn't even understand as well, right?
Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's kind of like how our, like, courses are, like, structured for school. Like, if you're not paying attention for a second, you kind of miss a whole bunch of stuff and you don't get the whole picture. So it's kind of It's kind of interesting how they put that, man.
I think they based a lot of it also on the idea that you would already know a lot of the references that you're giving as well.
Yeah, I guess it's like I guess it's for like people who love film even more than us. I didn't know that was possible, but I mean, like, yeah, there you go.
I don't know. I feel like this would be more. I think
more.
In general, people just think this movie is not as good. I think it's solid. I think it's right now the weakest David Fincher movie I've seen. But I've basically seen all of his best movies, I'd have to say so far. But we'll see what happens when I watch the rest of them.
Yeah.
So I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to see a bit more, see what I think about this movie. But yeah, at the moment, it is kind of the weakest one I've seen. So yeah.
So I was just curious. What did you think of for a score for this movie?
Oh well, glad you asked. I mean, like, I think I'd probably have to give this like, I think a 7 out of 10 is probably appropriate. Right. You know, I think it has, like, from a technical aspect, it's like near perfection. But I think from, like, you know, the story and like just how everything else is structured, I kind of feel like that's where the film lets down. And, you know, like, assuming you know all those other things as well, it's like maybe going to alienate some of the audience. So definitely a 7 out of 10 for me. What do you think?
Yeah. So like I said, I personally think this is the weakest of his filmography, but I think the rest of his movies are 9 out of 10. So I gave this movie an 8.
Easily,
an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
a little bit higher there.
Yeah, it is a little bit higher. Like, I just think that the performances are very strong. I think we kind of forgot to talk about Amanda Seyfried, who I think gives a pretty good performance. I don't think she's too standout-ish, which is why I was talking to you earlier about how I don't think she'll end up being Best Actress, Supporting Actress this year.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she definitely gives a very good performance.
Yeah. Consistent throughout the movie. That's not always the case with, you know, some actors' performances, but yeah,
it's definitely a consistent performance. So I think we're ready to wrap up. Make sure to go follow Aiden. So GBD Reviews on Instagram. Make sure to check out my channel Reviewing, which is on YouTube. We'll be trying to do these bi-weekly, so make sure to look out for the next one. Aiden, what film do you think we want to do next time?
Well, I think this was an easy choice for me. I'm going to be reviewing this film on my own page, of course, at GBD Reviews. Best film page on YouTube. I mean, Instagram, God damn it. It's going to be the upcoming Netflix release, The Prom, which is a musical comedy drama about a LGBTQ relationship that is not allowed to go to prom, which I think is something important for me as someone who is in the community to discuss a film like this. And I don't even normally go for musicals either, but when I saw this trailer about, I think it was like end of October, I knew I had to review this film, and I've had it waiting in my queue just so I can talk about it. So that's the film we're going to do. So stay tuned for that, guys.
Right, yeah, I personally love musicals, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right.
Well, you've been listening to the GBDENG review. No, not review. I don't know what to say anymore. The
movie podcast.
The movie
That's
podcast.
okay. And
you've been listening to a movie podcast, and hosted by me and Aiden, and I'm Daniel.
Yeah.
All
right. Take care, guys.
Yeah. Bye.